Now, originally, this episode was supposed to be about Scarface and The Godfather, but we got an offer that we couldn't refuse.
Oh my god, that was smooth. That was smooth. You were planning that ahead of time.
No, actually, I just came up with it right now.
Dang, that was
because I'm that nice,
that was smooth.
right? Diablo Pablo. I mean AJ.
Yes. For those of you who are a little confused by that, when I jumped on to the CrossGen meeting here over Zencaster, you can choose you can type in what your name is as it's presented to other people. And I don't know, I guess in the spirit of, because I've been doing Diablo 3 recently, and I've made a new character, Diablo Pablo. I don't know, I just decided to roll with that when I rolled in here.
Is that half Diablo 3 and half Narcos?
Yeah, basically. I really just did it because it rhymed, but now that you say that,
AJ
oh God, I don't even want to think of that. Oh my God.
He's the Pablo Escobar of Diablo 3.
That is horrible.
So instead of hippopotamuses, what are you getting over there?
Just black market imports of axes.
What the hell?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Axe trade.
Andre Diablo Pablo.
He's
the Pablo Escobar of Diablo 3, involved in axe trafficking.
Oh my God. He's level 70 right now.
He is?
He surpassed us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I don't know if he does more damage than you, because your character is like
My
way too OP.
character is Ragnar.
Even if I was level 70, I wouldn't even do as much damage as
Let me just ask you this question. Can your character summon a meteor?
No, but his character can also summon.
Yeah, but eventually I'll be able to summon a volcano.
Yeah.
With earthquakes. So
and
maybe I can't summon a meteor, but I think at level 70,
I can summon Ghosts of the Past too.
You have Ghosts of the Past?
Well, so do I.
Multiple Ghosts of the Past.
I have 4. I got 3.
Suicide.
I got 3 Vikings.
Oh my God, you guys don't even know.
Blue faces.
No, you guys don't even know. There was an equipment item that I had. It was a two-handed axe. On chance to hit, there would be a chance that it would spawn in 4 cows, not minotaurs, literal cows. With hooves on all legs. They would be standing upright, like on 2 legs, and they would be carrying like a pike, and they would fight for me.
What are you?
What the heck?
What? That is the power of Diablo Pablo.
Stupid. What the hell? Oh my God. It's horrible.
Right. That's what I'm trafficking. Cows.
Oh, yeah. Soundtrack.
Yeah, we're still in the sound check, which is crazy.
Oh, God.
That's horrible.
All right, sound check done. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first new episode of 2022.
Is Pablo high?
I don't know.
What the hell?
What are you talking about, Pablo high? What?
Hold on.
How's he summoning cows?
Hold on.
Why would he summon?
Hold on. Let's let everybody know who we are after that super long, super long sound check. But we are the CrossGen podcast. I am Walt, and I'm joined by my other CrossGeners, my CrossGen Xers, my whatever, AJ and Eli. And yes, we were talking about Diablo 3 in our super long sound check, and AJ's character of now. AJ always does crazy things with video games, does he not?
My God. It's horrible.
Whether it's trying to infiltrate an army base in Grand Theft Auto 4, right? 5, right? and dying horribly, and all the evil things that he does in that game, right? And now he's created a brand new drug trafficking, axe throwing, cow summoning character in Diablo 3.
That's
A
horrible.
character called Diablo Pablo. I mean,
well, sad thing is I can't actually summon the cows anymore because I got a much better weapon. But
what does that summon?
What's
No, it
better
doesn't
than
summon
summoning
anything.
cows?
Oh, it doesn't summon anything. So what does it do?
It just does massive damage.
Oh, that's sad.
No,
Like it eclipsed the damage that weapon that summoned cows did.
No, there's no weapon greater than summoning cows.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What the hell?
Especially
Why
with
would you use
especially
that?
with hooves and pikes.
That's garbage.
Like,
Why
how
would
did
you use
their...
that?
I'm still trying to process how their hooves even gripped the pikes. Because they held them like this. But they're just hooves.
Wait, they're standing on their two hind legs?
Yeah.
Yes!
Okay, I'm sorry. You need to take a screenshot of that because we have to show it to our audience.
I'm gonna see if I can find a photo online. I'm so upset that I actually didn't take a photo of it when I didn't have it.
But they need to have the full experience. It can't be just an online picture. It has to be the cows hanging out with Diablo Pablo.
I don't have it anymore. I melted it down.
Oh my!
You melt that down.
What?
That is
my God.
Diablo axe.
In order to reach the greatest heights achievable, Diablo Pablo will sacrifice whatever is necessary for the crusade. And yes, that's right. He's a crusader.
He's a Diablo's axe wielding cow dimension. What? What? There's a whole entire dimension. That's
dimension of axe wielding cows, a pike wielding cows.
What?
Heck
Look
is
at
that.
Wait, look at this.
Oh my God! Apparently, there's a history behind it.
Oh, okay.
They've had it in other iterations of Diablo.
Oh, okay. So then, I see.
Disgusting.
It's just Diablo
Bovine
Pablo
Bardiche.
has wielded that power to a level never before seen in the Diablo universe.
What the hell?
Diablo Pablo.
Bardiche is a legendary polearm that can be found in Reaper of Souls is 5, right? I mean, no, that's the new one.
Yeah.
Okay. But whatever. Why are we talking about cows with pikes?
Well,
because they are legendary.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they were legendary in combat. They really were.
Oh my God.
That almost puts my flayed goblin to shame.
Wait.
God.
You just remind me of your stupid suicide bomber goblins. Garbage.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay.
That's the actual sound they make. Yeah.
Our viewers are so confused. What are you doing?
Yeah, we should really get on to the main topic now.
Yeah.
This has gone on long enough.
Yes, Diablo Pablo. So, before we continue, I would like to invite everyone. If you're not doing so, please rate, review, and subscribe to the CrossGen podcast, and please tell all your friends about your favorite little podcast here. And on that note, we're going from one satirical instance of cows holding pikes to another. And our main topic today, we're going to be talking about the latest Netflix sensation, right? The one that has broken all kinds of Netflix records, not only here in the States, but around the world. And that is Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. So
that's way over the top.
Yeah, this film came out over the Christmas break, and it has really, really, I mean, taken the world by storm. And it's funny because if you look at the Rotten Tomato reviews, it sits at 55%, which is not great. You know, that means that roughly about half the people, half the reviewers, the critics, right, liked it, and half of them didn't. And a lot of the criticisms that you know, the film is very heavy-handed in its message. You know, it's not as comedic as they would like it and stuff. But you know what? People have kind of taken the opposite direction to this, because
that was a pretty funny movie. I don't know what they're talking about.
Nah, it's just political.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to say that.
And but like I said, the response to the critics is not really matching the response to the actual viewers, because this thing, in the week of December 27th through January 2nd, which is the week that it opened up, or, you know, got released on Netflix, it was watched globally by a bunch of people. The amount, so they kind of track this through viewing hours. 152.29 million hours of people watching Don't Look Up. That is the most viewing hours for a movie in a single week in Netflix's history.
Wow.
Okay. Within the first 28 days, which it still hasn't even reached, it's already the third most watched film behind Bird Box, which we saw, and Red Notice, which we also saw. That's the one with Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, right?
Yep.
Bird Box being the one with I forgot what her name is. Well, anyway, that's the post-apocalyptic thing where you can't look at the things or they'll kill you, right? And I believe as of this recording, it's gone to 263 million hours watched. So this is
that's a lot.
You know, yeah, this is really a
it could top Red Notice.
Yeah, I listen, at this pace, it will probably top both films and become the most watched film ever on Netflix. So, you know, even Adam McKay, the director, he tweeted that he was straight up flabbergasted by the numbers that the films was receiving. So, it's something that, you know, good on them, right, for getting to where they are. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what Don't Look Up is. And, you know, the movie starts Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence is in it. You have Meryl Streep, who plays the president of this movie.
You have a lot of people.
There's a lot of people in this, you know. Mark Rylance plays the Steve Jobs-ish type character.
Oh, God.
Jonah Hill is the president's son.
Yeah,
who's also the chief of staff.
He kind of plays. So let's get into what the actual movie is kind of about, because it's a very interesting premise. Don't Look Up is a satirical movie, obviously. It's a disaster movie. And it's also a metaphor on the crisis of climate change, right? So in the movie, Jennifer Lawrence's character, she discovers a comet hurtling toward the Earth. And, you know, very, very quickly, with the help of her mentor, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, they realize, Dr. Mindy. They realize that not only is this a huge comet, but it's directly on a path to strike the Earth. And then from that point on, things get out of hand, because they go and they try and talk to the president. The president is very much a caricature of the former 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Jonah Hill being a caricature of his son Donald J. Trump, and probably also the son-in-law, right? What's his name? Kushner, I think is his name.
David Kushner?
Yeah, him. And so predictably, if we know if that's who they're portraying, you can predictably know where this thing is coming from and what's going to happen next, especially given the fact that the character is coming up to a midterm election cycle, right? So everything becomes political. And it goes on from there, and it becomes really an allegory of our times now, with disinformation and disbelief and not trusting science and not listening to experts in the fields, and rather listening to politicians or billionaires or celebrities, right? Everything that's kind of happening now.
And it's funny because this movie was actually made before the pandemic,
right? So this was written by Adam McKay, who also directed the film, and this was kind of a thing that he had, kind of cooking around. A lot of the times, directors and filmmakers, they have ideas that sit in their heads for years, and eventually they get them out on paper, and things get done if the studio likes it and stuff. So, he had this idea for years. And in 2019, before any of the pandemic had happened, he actually wrote the script. Now, the funny thing is, this was supposed to be about climate change. And, he was very, very, he really wanted to make the film, but he didn't know how to make it until he spoke to another friend of his who is either a reporter or a scientist in that field. And he was like, what, it's basically like a comet is coming down on Earth and, nobody does anything about it. And that's where the whole comet thing came into play. So, but the interesting thing is that, a lot of the criticisms by the thing is like, this is not a proper metaphor for climate change, the whole comet thing. But what has happened in the interim is we've had a pandemic happen to us globally, in 2020. It started in 2019, but we really didn't start to see the effects into early 2020, like around February, March. That's when people really, on a mass level, started to get worried about the pandemic. And yes, he made some changes to the script along the way, but, it's funny because we watch the film now, and even though the film is supposed to be about climate change, it really, really does feel like it was written about the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys agree with that?
Of course. Like from there, don't look up. There's no comment to the oh my god, I don't know what my voice is giving out. The virus is a hoax. There's that very clear parallel there.
It's just the flu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like this complete unwillingness to actually face the problem and not profit off of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what it boils down to. I mean, this film really, really does feel like it was written about the pandemic. And it's funny because Adam McKay, when they started production, he was making changes and he was like, you know what? Let's make this 15% more crazier, and it shows up on the film. There's a lot of really, really cringy moments, right? And in terms of what the characters do. Not cringy moments in terms of the film itself, but the actions that some of these characters take.
Oh God, they were literally spoilers. For anyone who's gonna watch it, pause the podcast, go watch it, come back. All right, spoiler curtain is down. Here we go, or up. Here we go. They literally were sending nukes up to destroy the thing. Everything was going perfectly with that plan. Until all of a sudden, these things start disarming and stopping.
And falling out of the sky, right?
Yeah. And they're wondering, why did we stop? Everything was going perfectly. But big tech, quote unquote, had to come in and say, well, the asteroid's a gold mine. Maybe we should farm it.
Oh my god!
So they literally stopped their best chance to get rid of this thing, all because just conflicting interests. Oh geez, it was like so terrible. Like, why would you actually gamble with something like that?
I think it speaks to the climate that we're in terms of the 1%ers, right? That really, the 1%ers really are the ones that are driving things, and they do things in the best interest of themselves as opposed to the general public, and things like that. So there is that is the underlying theme over here. And it's funny because you watch this film and it's supposed to be a comedy and it's supposed to be a satire, but I found myself watching the film and it's like, oh well, that happened. Oh yeah, that's going on. Oh yeah, that's real. Oh yeah, that works. The sad part about it is that as satirical as the film is supposed to be, it feels very much like it's real life, right?
Yeah.
Which is the really scary thing about it, because like you said at the very beginning. So just we're going to get into plot points, and Andre has already said that spoiler curtain is officially down and we've ripped it off the polls and stuff like that. There are several instances where the main characters, the two scientists here, they're literally begging people to listen to what they said. And the very first instance you see is when they go on to the show that's hosted by the actors, the actors Kate Blanchett and Tyler Perry. Their characters, they're anchors on this news program called The Daily Rip. And the very first instance where we see it, in the public eye, because they were not listened to by the president, right? They go on this thing and they're literally telling the anchors a comet's going to hit, everybody's going to die. And the anchors are just kind of making fun and playing it light and stuff like that, to the point where Jennifer Lawrence's character had to literally lose it, scream into the camera, "You are all going to 100% effing die." And the very next couple of hours, she becomes a meme on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Which is literally something that would happen nowadays, right? And the whole thing is like, they don't listen. They're not listening to us. And the only time that the president in this fictional movie decides this is a good thing, this is something we need to act on, is because there's that side angle, that side story where she's trying to push a Supreme Court nomination or some kind of nomination.
And it just blows up into an absolute scandal.
Right. And so the way to deflect the scandal is, oh, we've got to work on solving this comet problem, which again feels like something that would happen nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So the whole thing is really, really, it's really on point on the times that we're living in. Everything is social media. Everything is, like they said, Ariana Grande is in this film, and she's going through a very public breakout, very, very akin to her own breakup with Pete Davidson. And the metrics are that her story is more important than the world ending because of a comet hit. Like that story doesn't even rate compared to them, you know. So it's a sad take on our society as a whole right now, you know. What did you guys think of the film in general as a film itself? Like, you know, aside from the point that it was trying to make, the theme, the message of the movie. What do you guys think of the movie as a whole by itself?
I mean, see, the whole climate. Here's something I'm still trying to wonder: how is that supposed to show climate change?
Well,
that was the original concept.
Yeah, I know
that changed.
No, it didn't.
No, it never changed.
It's still about climate change.
Oh, yeah, because of the whole scientist thing. Yeah, okay.
Right.
Okay,
so
yeah.
So the whole thing about climate change is that, again, people don't believe it.
It's a weird metaphor.
And climate change is such an abstract thing that, and this is why he used the comet, because the comet is very in your face, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you can get around seeing a comet and blowing everything up, you know? And so climate change, however, is very abstract. You know, it's like, you know, this is something that happens not very quickly over the span of, you know, years, decades, things of that nature. But he wanted to show something very, very, you know, in your face, right up front. The threat is real, immediate, and that's why he chose the comet. But the struggles of the scientists, the climate change scientists, in getting the world in general to buy into this thing, that's really kind of what the movie was about, you know.
That's weird. It's a weird metaphor, but
and I think that's why a lot of people, especially the critics, they're kind of like, I don't get it, you know.
I mean, but putting that aside,
the point is, I think if you really want to liken the two, we can, because the whole thing is, we can do something about climate change, and we choose not to. But whether or not we choose not to do anything or don't, it's still going to happen. And the same thing applies to the comet. It's this thing that is in the world. It is going to happen. But you can do something about it, and depending on what you do about it, will perhaps mitigate some of the damage that's going to eventually occur, because it's still a force of nature. You can't, you know.
Yeah.
You can't like you can mitigate it. You can't completely like whoosh it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I can see the analogy. And then, of course, again, with like the scientists, they're trying to get the point across. No one's listening.
Still a very weird analogy for climate change. But I mean, like I said, putting that aside, overall, like the movie was, obviously, it was like a mirror of you know, of how things are today. You know, we have the 45th president, right? 45th?
Yeah, 45.
Trump. So, I mean, it was funny to watch, mainly because, you know, how over the top it is. But then when you really look back at it, you know, it's really just the things that are going on today. I mean, you could literally, for each and every single thing that happened in the movie, you can literally compare that to what to the things that have happened today.
Yeah, so, and just to your point, exactly what you're saying. Neil deGrasse Tyson said the exact same thing in a tweet, because he was like, I know the news cycles, I know what's going on, and the more I read about it and more I watch the movie, I understand this film as being a documentary, as opposed to a comedy.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the point that you're trying to make.
You know? Damn, what the frick,
you got
bro?
Neil deGrasse Tyson on your side.
God.
You know?
No, but that was like insane, bro. What the frick?
But that's
documentary.
But that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like you said, every single thing that happens in the film, you can point to a real life counterpart and say, look, this is exactly happening. So you're absolutely right.
And it's I don't know how to feel about this, because, you know, it's really funny when you're watching it, it's still very funny after you watch it because that's how good it was, really. I mean, speaking for a movie, I'm gonna say it's really good, and it's very comedic. Okay, but like when you put that into like context, it's a little bit more,
It's terrifying.
It's it is. It is
in a sense, right? Because
no, not
God
in a sense. It is.
yeah. But I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like it's a real. It's not only a commentary on the politics of things, but it's a commentary on our greater society as a whole. Because there are two concepts that I'm aware of that kind of inform what's going on in the world, and one of them is it sounds like it's a political thing, but it's really not. It's actually more of a financial concept. But that's the term conservatism bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that is, it's what that phrase and that term is. It describes a process where people, they have a way of thinking, and they're so what's the word I'm looking for? They're so ingrained in their way of thinking that it comes at the expense of new information that is very important, but because they're so stuck in their ways, they choose to ignore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're deeply entrenched.
Yeah, they're ingrained in this thought process. And so it makes it very difficult for people to change the way they do things because of the fact that, this is what I've known all this time. Yes, there's new information that's coming, but I'm still going to hold on to this whole, concept that I have, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is that there's also a concept, and this is more like a medical type of thing, right? It's called, and let me see if I could find that because I did have that here. It's anxious avoidance. And this is more of a medical term, right? Where it's kind of like you're suppressing your feelings, right? This is a way, this is a way that you protect yourself from really harsh truths. And in this film, what's the harsh truth, right?
Yeah.
A comet is going to destroy the entire planet, and so
going to die.
Mental health professionals look at this film and they say, well, that's anxious avoidance. You have a population, aside from the people that have that conservatism bias, right? You have another section of people who, the truth is so disturbing and so huge that they can't concept that fact. And so what do? You kind of avoid it, right? It's like a mental way of kind of shutting out all these negative feelings and stuff. Yeah. And that's a very true thing that happens,
Yeah.
And so in this film, you're hitting both sides of that. You have the people that are like, well, you know what, like the president, the perfect line when Jonah Hill's character, the Orlean, whatever, he's like, well, it's 100%. The president is like, well, you can't tell people that they're gonna 100% die. And then the other character, the head of the NASA, that weird section
the
of
head
the government.
Of NASA.
Oh,
no, he wasn't the head of NASA. He was the head of something else, right? It was like a disaster something or other.
Oh, the Department of Orbital. I don't know.
Something like that.
It has to do with protection against stuff from outer space.
Right. So, after the president makes that comment, well, you can't tell 100% of the people that they're going to die. He's like, well, it's really more like 98.76%. And then the son goes, well, then there's a chance it's not going to happen.
It's not 100%.
Yeah, it's not 100%. And then the president's like, well, let's just say it's 70% and move on from that.
Yeah.
You know?
So it is what it is. So
yeah, so you have that going on. So in the movie, there's a lot of denial going on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And it gets to the point where it, like AJ said, the scientists actually come up with a plan, and it's hijacked by the 1%ers.
Yeah, by what's his name? The
guy
Bash Life.
Yes,
I
forgot what his name is.
Dude, that actor was like, props to him, because on God, that was like some different level of acting, trying to impersonate like Steve Jobs.
Yeah, so the actor's name is Mark Rylance, and he plays Peter Isherwell. Or if you remember in that whole Apple-esque type presentation,
they had the presentation there.
Sir Peter Isherwell, please make sure not to make direct contact, eye contact.
Yeah. You know. So damn, I mean, he hijacked the whole plan, and you know, that's to go to your point, way back when, Andre. Right, they were gonna send what's his name, the dude, because
Ron Perlman's character. Yeah. Oh my God, he was terrible. Yeah. Like, great actor. No, don't get me wrong, but just
Benedict Drask.
Yeah, the character he played was absolutely just a piece of crap. Oh my God.
Well, it wasn't that he was a piece of crap. He was the consummate soldier that he'd do whatever he would for the country. No, but it was explained very early on. You don't need him there because we can remote everything. And they were like, well, the country needs a hero, so we're going to sacrifice him so that we have a figurehead for his hero-ness. Yeah. He literally was being sent to die for no reason other than optics, right? God. Because it established early on, we don't need people on this thing.
But we can
do this remote control.
He also was a piece of crap.
Well, yeah, his whole monologue going up going into the atmosphere was just like, oh my God.
The things he said on his way up, it's like he deserved it, honestly. I'm sorry, but you know,
but he didn't die.
Yeah, that's the sad thing.
Well, he did eventually, but
we'll get into that a little bit later.
But Peter Isherwell, you know, he being the douchebag that he is, he decided, oh, we have a better plan now. Even though this one was actually going to work, let's push our luck and decide to hijack the mission and do our own with the 99% chance that we're going to die.
But not peer reviewed.
Not peer reviewed, right?
Yeah, because all of the technology and like the plan they were going to use was in the highly experimental and purely theoretical.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh gosh.
But I think the biggest thing, right, was that when they decided to hijack the mission, they didn't even get the scientist involved, right?
Well, they did.
Like, it was purely a surprise.
Oh yeah, that was purely a surprise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, it was horrible because their whole mission was that, you know, there were like minerals in the meteor,
rare earth minerals,
and but
which is a true thing, by the way.
Yeah, tablets. I mean, it's true. Yeah, there is
a shortage of that now. So
yeah, but again, you're talking about a planet killer, so it's not necessarily it's not necessarily worth the risk. So I mean,
not
he had
to
a
Peter
really
Isherwell, it wasn't.
I mean, he had a pretty swanky presentation. I will not lie, though. I mean, like, he had the whole thing with like.
But that's all it ever was gonna be.
Yeah, it was just a swanky presentation. That was it.
That's it.
There was nothing else to it.
And that was really the beginning of the minimizing. Well, it had started earlier, but that was really the beginning of the minimizing of science in the film. You know, I mean, that was always that underlying theme. But then once Isherwell got involved with his plan, it basically became 2020 with Trump and the fight with Dr. Fauci and the general scientists, and bringing in fringe scientists to talk about COVID. That's what Ishmael became, because now he brought in his people that said, well, you know what? It may not be peer reviewed, but we're scientists and we've checked it out, and we're on Peter Ishmael's payroll, but we're still scientists and we can figure this out without anybody else looking at it. So it was a very interesting side-by-side comparison of both the response in the United States to COVID and what was going on with the comet in the film, right?
Yeah. And from there, what
things just got worse from there at that point.
God.
I mean, Jennifer Lawrence's character, Dr. DiBiase, which the comet was named for, incidentally, right? And that was kind of like the running joke. Oh, DiBiase's going to kill you. Right?
Oh, God. When she went on that talk show and it was like the Fox parody crew, and it's like, well, answer the question. Answer what question? You haven't answered the question yet. You haven't even asked me the question yet. Well, that's precisely the question now, isn't it?
Yeah. And that character is a stand-in for Sean Hannity. And there was, especially at the very end, with the logo that they had up on the screen behind them, was very much a very similar logo to Sean Hannity's. So it was clear that he was kind of like a stand-in for Sean Hannity in this picture.
Yeah.
But like I said, it just got worse and worse from there. And we get to the very, very end where the mission is supposed to finally happen.
Don't forget, don't look up.
Oh, well, yeah, there was that. But no, that happened afterwards, right?
No. So first it was the look up movement.
Right, exactly.
Because you could finally see it in the sky. But then the president and her office shot back with the "Don't Look Up" campaign,
and that happened after the disaster, right? Of Israel, wasn't it happened? The "Don't Look Up" campaign started happening afterwards.
No, well, after Israel hijacked the thing, yes.
No, wasn't it that the Look Up campaign was started first by the scientists?
Yes.
No.
Right?
Well,
yes, that was.
And then you had Ishmael, then you had the very first instances of the comet, but it wasn't that visible to a lot of people.
Yeah, well, the comet was always...
And I think the Don't Look Up campaign started when the disaster happened, and they were trying to kind of deflect from that and say, well, you know what, this is a hoax. But that blew up very quickly in their face, because then there was no way you can escape what was in the sky, right? And you had that political rally where Jonah Hill was getting stuff thrown at.
Well, that was at the complete end, no?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, we had the Ishmael disaster. So let's talk a little bit about that. That their whole plan was what again?
So here's what they wanted to do. They wanted to send up these highly experimental,
never tested
drones, never tested before drones,
probably
based on this plan, based on data. And what these things were going to do is that they were going to attach to the meteor and send these little, super fancy bombs that was supposed to break the meteor apart from the inside. And they would basically calculate it so that most of the pieces would fall into the ocean.
And wasn't the drone supposed to fly the bigger pieces in or whatever? They were supposed to stay attached and then kind of do a guided descent for some of them.
Wait, they were?
Yeah, I think that was part of the plan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it wasn't even just to break it up and stuff. It was to break it up in a fashion that it created manageable pieces of the comics so that the drones that were still attached to it could guide it to a very specific place that was deemed safe by Ishmael and his group.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So basically, just a bunch of BS. Now let's
So
move on.
the difference between the two launches, right, is that the one done by the scientists was a perfect launch, right?
Perfect
like
launch.
they lost not a single rocket. Contrast that to the Ishmael launch, where they lost what, 4 on
They
an
lost
initial launch,
like 2 or 3 on maybe even 4 on initial launch.
Yeah, and then when the robots got stuck onto the meteor, they lost like another like 6 of them or whatever, or 4.
Yeah, it was very, very. He never mentioned the threshold of what was needed, and anything below that would fail. But it was clear that you could see it in his face that once they started losing drones on the comet, the whole plan was screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I mean,
and so the detonation went off, but it didn't go to plan. Nothing really happened. Like, did it break off into littler pieces, but not what he was looking for? I can't remember that part.
The meteor remained relatively unscathed.
Yeah, so maybe just a couple of pieces broke off of it, right?
Yeah.
Not in any substantial way, no.
Right, exactly. And that led to one of the most cringy scenes probably in the entire movie, right? Because you have Ishmael, the president, and her son, basically in the space
center,
space command center. And at the point that the thing didn't detonate properly, Ishmael was like, I've got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to be right back. Right.
Oh,
and then he leaves. And then the president has the realization that he's probably not coming back because he realizes that the mission has failed. And she walks out saying, you know what? I'm going to go look for him. We're going to talk. And then other chaos happens within the command center where everybody then has the realization after that we're all screwed.
Yeah.
And you have Jason Hill's character, Jonah Hill's character, saying, wait, everybody, she's going to come back.
And she even said she was going to come back. She sat him down and she said, no, look, everything's going to be fine. You don't need to come with me. Just sit down.
He never comes back. And the implication is that he stays there for the rest of the movie waiting for her to come back.
Oh my God, is terrible.
Which in an after credits scene, which pays off the whole thing, right? Yeah. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So they leave, but they have a plan.
Apparently.
Because a backup plan. Because
1%ers have the ability to have backup plans when disasters like this strike. Ishmael has created a rocket that would take them to the nearest Earth-like planet.
Oh, you should right while they're at the the space launch program. Well, no, even before that, because apparently Peter Ishmael has like this thing where he can calculate what deaths they're gonna have, and as like a diss. As like a diss, he just told what's his name, Dr. Mindy, that he was gonna die alone. But
he was wrong.
For what's her name, President Orlean, she wanted to know what she would die of, and he literally just said, "You're gonna die of a bronze rock."
And she's like, "What the heck is that?"
Yeah,
that pays off later. So
So.
in a very, very satisfying way.
Yeah.
So, we get to the end of the film, and it's clear that we're not going to have a happy ending to this film, which I kind of appreciated, because you know what? We've seen too many films that kind of take serious issues like this and kind of find a way to tie it up pretty with a bow.
Yeah, I was expecting it to, because that's how it usually goes.
And I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I think it reinforces the entire theme of the movie, is that, you know what, people on a whole need to change the way that they think, and people on a whole need to change the manner in which they consume information and who they get their information from, right?
Don't push your luck.
Right. And so, we get that very, very heart-wrenching end scene at the very end where Dr. Mindy is kind of trying to rebuild and fix the relationship he has with his wife and his kids, which that was another little side plot where he gets involved with a Fox News type reporter, and stuff. But anyway, and they have that scene at the very end at the table, right, where it's clear that the comet is here, and at that point the comet had already touched down, didn't it?
Well, it was happening concurrently,
right,
with the launch, the dinner table scene,
right? Yeah, so they're around the dinner table, and literally the house is shaking because the impact has already occurred, and the seismic wave that's going to really destroy the entire earth is kind of making its way around the globe. And it's I don't know, man. That was a tough scene to take, because there they are and they're all together, and they know that they're going to die within minutes, if not seconds, and they're struggling to have just like a normal conversation, right?
Well, I would say the opposite. I'd say that they just accept it. And
no, I know, but like as a viewer, as watching that scene, it was tough, right?
Oh yeah,
because that they're going to die, and they're really, really trying hard to just have a normal dinner, right? Just it's hard to ignore the fact that the whole entire house was shaking.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
right, and it was really, really a heartbreaking scene and stuff. And we eventually got the end of the world.
Yeah, everybody, well,
except for those freaking those freaking Elon Musk types at the very, very top.
There's only one person at the end of the world. No, okay. So
talk about the rocket ship first.
Yeah, let's go to the rocket ship. Okay, so they're in a cryo chamber. It's probably been like 20 million. No, it's like
it's been 22,000 years or something like that.
Yeah,
and they've clearly passed like through a bunch of places and make it to this planet, and everybody gets out, and it's actually a beautiful place. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like
it's actually
No Man's Sky sort of.
He actually did find a proper place to restart humanity.
Oh, except yeah. So basically what happens is, as they're stepping out, I don't remember what she said before the whole thing happened, but
I think the consensus was that they were happy.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Everybody, and it was almost like an Adam and Eve type of scene, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what they were going for, where everybody was no clothes, and they're walking out into this beautiful garden and stuff like that. Except,
oh god,
there was some very alien-looking creatures that happened to alien raptors. They kind of like walk up to one of them. The first of them walks up to the president, and she's like, "Oh, this looks kind of nice. Maybe, I don't know, some throwaway line about having it as a pet or something." And then she gets viciously ripped apart and eaten by it. And what's his name? Ishawel's comment is like, "Oh, so that's a Bronteroc."
Oh my god.
Or no, he says, "I believe that's called a Bronteroc."
And I think in a scene very reminiscent to probably like was it Jurassic Park 2?
Yeah.
Right, where they stay out of the long grass.
Oh yeah. That's right.
True. Where they get surrounded by a I guess what you call
a pack of Bronterox.
Oh my god!
And the implication is that the entire set of people that were on that rocket ship are viciously killed by this pack.
Good. Oh my goodness.
Imagine they survived though, because
no. Stop. No, you stop right
we
there.
We never got the end scene.
Stop ruining it.
We'll
stop
never
ruining
know.
it. No, stop ruining it.
I think the guilty pleasure is knowing that they all you know
die.
Yeah, it's sad, but you know what? The actions of this group of people was beyond the pale, right?
Yeah.
So beyond heinous.
So humanity is basically extinct at this point, right?
Yeah.
Except
stupid face still.
Which is interesting, right? Because I'm telling you, people, if you're gonna watch the movie, stay to the end after the credits. This is literally an end credit scene.
Yeah, it has two end credits.
At the very end. Well, one is in the mid credits. This one is completely end credit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant. Like post credits or post film scenes, whatever.
Right. Exactly. So, we discover that back on Earth, and it's funny because that scene kind of encapsulates everything about the movie and everything wrong about our society right now, right? Because emerging from the bunker, still waiting for his mom to come back.
That's the first thing he says.
Yeah, he's like, Mom, where are you? Is Jonah Hill's character?
What's his name?
Jason Orlean.
Jason Orlean.
Oh, Jesus
he comes out of the bunker miraculously. I guess that bunker was probably the safest place on the planet.
No. I think the implication is still that he didn't even move a muscle.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
No, he didn't go into a bunker. He was still in the NASA site.
I know, but I'm saying that was kind of like a bunker because it protected him. That's what I'm saying. He was still waiting in the exact same place for the rest of the movie. He never left, waiting for his mom to come back. And even there was a point. There was a point during the movie where the president called Dr. Mindy and said, "Listen, there's 2 spots left for you if you want them." And he was like, "Well, no, that's okay. You know, maybe you should hold it for you and Jason." And she's like, "Jason? And then she realizes she left him there, and she's like, "Oh crap," but still leaves.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
it's horrible. But
so Jason, however, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but he survives because he never leaves the place that we saw him last.
Out of all people.
So that's why I say it's kind of like a bunker because that's the only place apparently that survived, right?
And what's worse is that he pulls out the Bash Life phone. Oh my god!
And what is it? What does he say? Looks like I'm the only person left alive, y'all. Hashtag don't look up or whatever he says.
Yeah,
like. Dude, you just literally said,
literally
said you're the last person left. Who are you live streaming to?
Exactly.
It's horrible, bro. I don't even know.
He's taking selfies and
that stuff. Right there is the actual cringiest moment in the movie.
Yeah,
that takes the crown.
Yeah.
So, but it's a good kind of cringe that's tragic.
Oh my god!
It is.
It's like it has so many layers to it.
And like I said, it's basically here he is at the end of the world, the only person left, and he's worried about selfies and Instagram live posts and stuff like that. You know, dude, really?
It's insane.
It really is. So, But that's the movie, and like I said, I think the critics got it wrong this time.
Yeah,
I really
Critics
do.
always.
sorry.
Because and we forget Kid Cudi.
Oh,
Kid
Kid
Cudi.
Cudi, yeah.
Kid Cudi in the film, right? Along with Ariana Grande.
Grande, yeah.
So I mean,
Look up the Look Up song. It's
oh my
Oh,
god.
oh.
Did we
That is
forget the
cringe.
other did we
That is
forget the
cringe.
other
Oh.
cameo appearance? Total Destruction.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Oh my god. They made a movie on it. That's so
A movie that was supposed to come out the day of Impact.
What the heck?
That's the ridiculousness about it. We made a movie about the end of the world, and we're going to release it when? At the end of the world.
Oh my god.
So I mean, there was it was just ridiculousness all over. But I happen to think that the critics really got it wrong here, because I think their focus here is the heavy-handedness of the message, what they deemed that wasn't comedic and stuff like that. But you're missing the message of the movie, which is, you know what, guys, we really are in a bad place right now with all the stuff that's going on, and you're kind of missing the point. You're being distracted by all this misinformation and, you know, all the celebrity stuff and the social media things and things like that. You really need to pay attention, and I think that's really the point of this film, is that we are at what people call an inflection point in our society. You know, we just recently had the COP 23 global conference, right? Where you had over 200 countries get together to talk about climate change. And what was the outcome of that conference? Is that, you know what, we'll see you next year. Nothing came out of that, and I think that's that. And if you look at it across the board, scientists are really gravitating toward this film because it really speaks to them and the struggles that they have getting their message out, and kind of trying to impart to a lot of people the importance of their messages, whether it be COVID, whether it be climate change, you know, any whether the next pandemic that's coming. You know, they've been warning about this. They warned about COVID before COVID happened. But because there's a lot of people that it doesn't fit into their schedules, right? It's inconvenient for them to talk about it. They brush it aside, and messaging is important here. And the message that you're putting out is contrary to what the reality really is. So I think in that aspect, I think the critics are getting this movie wrong. And I do agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson that this film really felt more like a documentary as opposed to a satire, because, like Eli said, a lot you can go point by point. I mean, the Don't Look Up campaign, right?
Yeah.
You can change that up and say COVID is a hoax, right? The political rallies, they had snippets of people going around saying, well, you know what, you can't take away my freedoms. You know what, they're saying that the comment's coming, what's the next thing, they're going to take away my guns. And then even Ron Perlman's character at the very end of the movie, what does he do? He's clearly a gun fanatic. He's shooting at the comet with his guns.
Shooting at the
Oh my god.
I don't think people really truly understand, you know, the gravity of what the message is supposed to be. And again, I really do feel like the critics are missing the point on this, you know. What do you guys think?
I think it honestly needed to be heavy-handed because that's all people have been doing, dancing around it. Oh, this is too politicized now. No, it's not. It's not so much a matter of politicization as a matter of you need to look at this issue and do something about it.
Right.
It's funny to me because the critics literally reflect the entire theme of the movie. You're just ignoring what the message is. Oh my god! But whatever.
And I think that's also part of the thing, because the movie is highly critical, not only about politicians but about the media in general. Kind of playing along with the politicians, right? In messaging this stuff. I mean, that the
Yeah.
perfect example is the Daily Rip, right?
Yeah.
And
Well, not even that. Like the whole New York Times-esque organization that put them in touch with the Daily Rip.
right,
They were
exactly.
like, oh, well, this story clearly isn't going anywhere, so it's not worth our time. So
Mhm.
you can just go screw off, basically.
Yeah, so this movie really takes aim at a lot of different organizations and entities and whatnot. It's not just the politicians that it's taking. It's going after social media types. It's going after celebrity culture. It's going after, social media. It's going after, there's a lot of things that it's going after. People who are deniers, and spread those misinformations and things of that nature. So, it goes after a lot of things, and maybe it makes people uncomfortable.
But that's the whole point.
But I think, yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. You have to be uncomfortable in talking about these things, because, if you're looking for comfort, it may never come, you know? And I think that was the point. And I think that's the reason why he chose the comet as a symbolic metaphor for climate change, the pandemic, because those things are really abstract. But when you look at a comet, it's there and it's in your face. And, you can try to ignore it as much as you can, but at the end of the day, it's there, and that's a literal representation of everything that's going on now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's my take on Don't Look Up, you know. And like I said, I'll say it again. I really feel that the critics got it wrong.
Critics can't handle the politics. It's too much for them.
Yeah. You guys got any last things to say about Don't Look Up? Anything that we missed? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on in that movie.
Oh, Jesus, the Look Up song.
I'm gonna end it.
Oh yes, the whole concert at the very end, the end of the world concert.
The lyrics, you're all gonna die, so look up and stop denying it. Or, I don't know the lyrics of the song. I completely butchered it. It sounded much better in the film.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna
like
die.
I'm not even gonna lie. I will give Ariana Grande the credit there. That was actually not her. That was actually well written. I guess you could say.
Kid Cudi, being the guy.
Well written and well performed. I will give you that. So kudos.
Look up. What he's really trying to say is get your head out of your A. Listen to the goddamn qualified scientists. We really effed it up. We effed it up this time. It's so close. I can feel the heat big time. And you can act like everything is all right. But this is probably happening in real time. Celebrate or cry or pray, whatever it takes to get you through this mess we made. Because tomorrow may never come.
Wow, look at the next
Wait.
one.
It gets better.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Just look up, turn off that shite Fox News, because you're about to die soon, everybody. I look up. Here it comes. Here it comes. I'm so glad I'm here with you forever in your arms. It's right above you. Don't wait no more. Just look up. So those are the lyrics to
It's facts. It's fact.
Ariana Grande's song.
Kid Cudi.
Yeah, Kid Cudi does a rap interlude in that, So
but I mean, it is a mirror, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. It's a mirror of what's going on right now.
A documentary. Jesus Christ, bro.
Yeah, that's
Documentary.
That's
I
perfect.
know.
Right?
That's exactly my point. Yeah, but it is what it is.
This is the new Idiocracy.
Yes.
Because that movie was made, what, 20 years ago, and it was kind of prophetic and stuff. It had what Terry Crews as the president.
Oh, is that the
Hector Camacho, whatever his name was?
Oh my, that's the one with like the smartest man alive, so called.
Yeah,
like,
and everybody is stupid.
Yeah,
you know.
Gosh,
but I think this one is more on point than that film. You know, I mean, it's literally there.
Is nobody gonna talk about how the general charged them $10 for
each don't do that again. Oh my god.
It's so insane.
That was House, like
I think that's kind of, again, you know, it feels like a throwaway thing, but that has a point to it, because again, it's kind of like the 1% taking advantage of everybody else, right? Yeah. So set the scene. They're waiting to see the president to talk about the discovery for the first time, and there is a general there, right? Yeah. From the Pentagon, who's going to go in with them, and eventually he has to leave, but they're waiting so long because, you know, they have the scandal going on, and even though she knows that they're there to talk about a planet killer, she still refuses to see them until the next day, right? Yeah. So in the interim, the general, they're waiting for how many hours, and they were like, you know what, I'm going to go get something to eat. You know, I'll bring something back, right? So what does he do?
So he's like, he comes back and he's like,
it's chips and water, right?
Yeah, it's like goldfish and water, and then he's like, it costs like an arm and a leg for a piece, and it's like $10 for each goldfish snack, and it's insane. And they obviously
gets a full 20 out of it.
Yeah. And no, he got a 30.
He got 40 now.
40?
Because remember, the other guy gives him a 20. He's like, do you have change?
Wow. Right? Wow.
And he's like, you know, I can ask the Marine. And he was like, nah, forget it.
Oh my God, that is horrible. And then later on, DiBiase.
It's like her only second only to the actual meteor itself. This is like the only thing that's on her mind this entire time.
I know, but
and she's like just completely over and over again trying to dissect that interaction. Why did he actually try to make us pay? Well, successfully make us pay for snacks that they later found out were actually free. It's the White House.
Yeah, like she goes to the kitchen and takes out the exact same thing, right? The goldfish in the water. Yeah. And there's somebody sitting there, and she's like, well, where do I pay for this? And she's like, what are you talking about? It's free. She was like, it's free? He was like, yeah, it's the White House. Yeah. You know? Oh my God. And she's like, what?
Bro, but that is the biggest con ever, bro. That is insane.
But again, you know, Adam McKay trying to make the point, you know, that the 1% is really getting over at this point everybody else. Like, you know, they're fleecing you dry. Yeah. You know, I think that's the point he was trying to make. But it's funny because he did it in such a crazy way, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's horrible.
Jeez.
All right. Well, is there anything else that we missed?
Well, I'm pretty sure there's some stuff, but because it's so
we packed. Covered the vast majority of it.
Yeah, it's so packed with like crazy stuff. It's insane.
There's so much there, but it is what it is. So, you know, I highly recommend people watch it. You know, and really keep an open mind when you're watching it, you know, and really try and absorb the message, because I think the message is important. You know, I think the message is, you know, we really have to wake up, and it's kind of appropriate because, you know, the title is Don't Look Up, right? And the point is we really should be, you know.
Hashtag look up.
Yeah, hashtag look up. So, all right. do we want to do ratings, or we just want to say it's a good film?
It's a good film.
Yeah,
it's a good film.
Yeah, just go watch it, people.
100%.
Yeah, and listen, we're not the only ones, because apparently everybody's watching this film.
Yeah,
so hopefully it at least starts a discussion. It's probably not going to spur real change, because I don't know, it just feels like nothing's going to happen.
People don't want to listen.
Yeah, but it is what it is. All right. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. I hope you had fun listening to our dissection of Don't Look Up. And you've probably seen it already, but if you haven't, please go check it out. It's on Netflix, and it's on like the top 3 lists of over 200 countries right now, I believe, or something like that. It's some insane thing, but it's really blowing up. So go check it out. And on that note, I guess we're going to call it. My name is Walt.
This is Diablo Pablo AJ.
This is The Godfather. And may our comets cross again? What?
Well, that's actually a good thing, because if 2 comets intersected with each other in deep space and not near Earth, they would take each other out and thereby avoid any kind of cataclysm on Earth. So that actually works.
Okay, but it's our comet, so technically if it's in...
No. Why would we have comets
in
our possession? No.
I don't
I'm telling you, it worked.
May our Earths cross again.
That's worse. What?
May our comets and Earths cross again. Yes. No. May our
comets... That's an extinction level event.
Yeah, that's an extinction level event.
Doesn't work.
Oh, God. May our cows with pikes cross again. No. Okay. May our comets cross again. That actually works.
Yes, it does.
I'll buy that.
The Godfather.
Later, people.